Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. I'm continuing my series about how to debate. And in a moment, I'm going to give the opposition speech to that motion. This House believes that smoking should be against the law. You just heard the proposition speech, so I've changed my shirt so you realise I'm a different person. This time I'll be standing on the left of the chair's position. So you saw the way I signed off last time. There are a number of standard ways to sign off. You can take your pick. You can say, I beg to propose. If you're on the proposition side, you might say, I urge you to support this motion. And that is why I propose the motion. Anything like that. On the opposition side, you might sign off by saying, and I beg to oppose. Or that is why I oppose this motion. Or I plead with the House to vote no to this motion. There are a number of ways to say it. So take your pick. There's not rules, these are just conventions. All right, and remember, I'm going to begin with the typical exordium. The chairman will have said, I thank the honourable member for his speech, and I now call upon name to open the case for the opposition. They don't have to be those exact words. Different debating societies do it a little differently, and each chairman or chairwoman might choose a slightly different form of words, but the message will be the same. All right, so we will move on to the first opposition speaker. And he's about to begin now. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for this opportunity to address this chamber about this issue. Let me outline the reasons why I am utterly opposed to this scurrilous motion. First of all, the dangers of smoking have been exaggerated. Second of all, choice is the palladium of freedom. Third of all, it is the thin end of the wedge if we outlaw smoking. And fourth of all, it's utterly unenforceable, this proposed ban on smoking. So I should get over those arguments again in greater depth. The first one, smoking is not good for people's health. Nobody pretends otherwise. And smokers do die a little bit sooner. But given the very shrill rhetoric we heard from the other side, you might think people die 50 years earlier from smoking, not about 12 years earlier. And it's a legitimate and a respectable choice. Some people want to pack a greater amount of pleasure in to a shorter amount of time. We don't necessarily all want to live to be 150. I mean, how much fun is it anyway to be a geriatric who can't move and has completely lost his or her mind? We have better medical treatment than before, better oncology treatment, better radiotherapy for cancer patients. There are all sorts of ways to give up smoking that weren't before with vaping and things like that and Nicorette patches. So if anything, the restrictions on smoking ought to be reduced, not increased, in view of the advances of medical technology. It's completely illogical what they're proposing when one considers how medicine has advanced. Coming on to the second one. Choice. That's what freedom is all about. When people go to prison, the first thing they notice is that choices have been taken away from them. Smoking provides people with enormous pleasure. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it, despite being fully cognizant of the way it's so dangerous to their health. They jeopardize their health because they don't necessarily want to live so long. There are a few pleasures in life that are worth foregoing for the sake of a couple of years in a nursing home in your 90s. It's a legitimate choice, and we ought to respect that. The choice is those of the smokers and not on these petty tyrants on the other side of the house. Who are they to dictate to others? The arrogance of it is quite nauseating. The thin end of the wedge. It's a slippery slope. Once you ban smoking, what's next? Next, you'll say you're not allowed sugar because it can be bad for your health. You're not allowed meat because it can lead to bowel cancer. You're not allowed to drink alcohol because that'll damage your liver. And how about barbecues? Why don't you propose banning that? It's completely illogical. There's no consistency on your side. When you breathe in the smoke from barbecues, you will ingest a greater quantity of carcinogens than if you were to smoke a whole packet of cigarettes. So it's utterly irrational what you're smoking. This unhealthy fixation you have, your tobacco phobia, must be fought tooth and nail. And now how it's unenforceable. This is my fourth argument. The thing of the war on drugs has been a tremendous triumph for drugs. It's been a disaster for law enforcement. Drug abuse has increased exponentially due to this moronic and liberticidal attempt to outlaw narcotics. Remember, until the 60s in most Western countries, cocaine and cannabis and so on were legally available. So were amphetamines and all the rest of it. It's recreational drugs. Now, these things are dangerous. There should be restrictions. They shouldn't be banned. Prohibition is a catastrophe. It has never, ever worked. Any student of history could tell you that. Just look at the Chronicles. The prohibition of these substances, all it does is take money from the public purse and give it to vicious criminals. Illegal tobacco money will go to gangsters. So it's not going to work. It's the worst thing you could possibly do, and they will sell tobacco to children, and it doesn't happen now. They will sell more dangerous strains of tobacco, more potent types. So for all these reasons, I am utterly opposed to this moronic motion. I shall go over those reasons again. First of all, the health dangers have been overstated. Third of all, people choose to jeopardize their health, and choice is freedom. Third of all, that it will lead to further prohibitions of things which are slightly unhealthy. And fourth of all, it just won't work. I beg to oppose.